We're live, aren't we? I was starting my engines, for the record.
I said start your engines, and Neil did start his engines, and I respect it, and I'm down for it, and I asked for it.
Yeah, if you had been mad, that would have been a little fucked up.
I get what I fucking deserve.
He was just following orders, honestly.
Imagine if that had just been clipped out of context.
It was only a little, you know, I don't know how it.
Yeah, it was probably on the very end.
Yeah, you know, running out of steam.
See, I'm environmentally conscious, so I started my engine, but I just pressed the button and it went.
Oh, electric engine, baby.
Okay. Speaking about electricity, why don't we talk about the electric drama of not actually much drama going on? I'm gonna swoosh forward about a week of not a whole lot going on, and I would want to know what all of you would like to be doing. At this point, you're in the throes of winter. It is like a third of the way through the silver month, which is November, for all of those using the Gregorian calendar instead of the dragon calendar. So it's starting to, as I described, when winter actually comes. This is Mother's Horn is a cold continent. You're actually on the warmer area of it. There are little areas that are a little bit more temperate, but winter has arrived, and there's almost constant snow, one way or another. At this point, it's not unbearable, and actually, because the village is so much smaller, you know, people are digging channels of snow so that everyone can go in all the places you need to go and stuff like that, making it easier for like Grith and Sophie, who have a hard time walking, and also other people who are injured, who don't have names. So with that, with winter existing, and all of the things that have gone on previously, what would you guys like to be doing on the moving forward? Not necessarily even just in a week of time, but what's next for all of you?
I'm gonna kind of always be working with scouts here and there, but I would have also approached Amaryllis and offered to teach her Gnomish so that she could kind of be more solo in the ruins whenever she wanted to, because I know she goes down there sometimes.
Yeah. Amaryllis would gratefully accept that, or as much gratitude as Amaryllis ever shows. Other than that, for the first week, like Amaryllis would be thinking and trying to recall stories, snippets, anything she's heard about, particularly mortals joining Fey courts and being changed, or anything relating like that.
You want to give me a history roll?
I would very much like to give you a history roll.
Well, why don't you give me a history roll, you dang old friend of mine?
Do it then. Do it.
Well, never mind my history roll.
You could say that history roll was
it didn't
history.
Well, that dice roll is certainly history now, yes.
Yeah, it's...
Ian's so used to me. He's immune to my joke.
It's you know, and it even makes sense, because Amaryllis has dealt with Fae and mortals, but not the blurry sort of... Not the two meeting. Almost deliberately so. When you went to the... First came to the material plane, you did not want anything to do with any, you know, Fae cults or anything like that.
She's moved to a different city, and
yeah, new group of friends
showed up. And now it's really awkward.
Yeah.
So it's not something you know. It might be something you have to, you know, research with, like, books.
I mean, I do technically have that, which I've never used. I know you said books, but do I know specifically where I might be able to find that?
Your thought would be churches. A large church, if this kind of thing is happening in the area, if this is something that happens on this continent, then a large church would be the people who kind of deal with it. Or at least would have some kind of writing about it, maybe as an affliction that you can actually read between the lines. So you would think a large church you know there's one in Shinebank. Which the answer was always going to be probably go to Shinebank.
Shinebank,
But
yeah.
also maybe in the Gnomish archives, maybe. It would be unlikely though.
Okay, cool. So all the more reason to go to Shinebank, because we've now got the Minotaur priests, or that might be able to cure the land. We've got hints of this adventurer that might know
You
something.
also
of that
wanted to
sort of thing.
research people who've been researching the dragons
Yeah.
in Shinebank.
So many reasons to go to Shinebank.
Is it time to go to the big city?
I think
Screw it,
so.
let's go
We
to
have a
Monster.
boat.
What's everyone else been doing?
In this last week, I'll say
The answer
first
all...
day,
Yeah, go ahead.
first day, Richter would probably spend a lot of the time in the kitchen, just pondering. And for the last 5-6 days, he's actually gone to where he thinks Torrin went when he meditated and heard the whispers, and he's just sat there, like defiantly, like, go on then, talk to me.
Excellent.
That's all.
Yeah, you don't. When you do so, and you sit atop this tall hill, and it's kind of like, it's almost like a rocky hill where grass still grows out of defiance. At this point, all snow, although regularly people kind of clear the snow up here because people come here to sit, just in general, out of research, reverence more than to the spirits. While it's a peaceful, almost meditative place, you never. Maybe sometimes you think you hear a voice in the wind, but then it's just one of the scouts or something calling to another. You don't get any kind of vision or message as Torrin did.
Yeah, I think at first he would go with sort of like, I don't know, a newfound a little bit of hope. He's trying to take Torrin's words seriously. Then he kind of just enjoys being outside and alone.
Torrin.
Torrin. Hello, my name is Torrin. Torrin would spend his time researching as best he can in the village, Avinda Dugul, Monster Mountain, and also he would like to find out what he can, if there are any records, or if Leha knows about the religions or religion that I might encounter in Mother's Horn. Specifically, let's say if it's a massive subject that she knows, he'd be leaning more towards like Shinebank, places that he might be going.
That's a history and a religion roll.
History and a religion. Bob. History and a religion.
When it comes to history, you're so interested in this idea of Ovinda Dougal. But, a lot of the older people be like, oh yeah, I remember hearing stories about him. And that's all it ever goes. Just probably due to the fact that he never came back from one of these adventures. He kind of just faded from the zeitgeist, whereas instead of becoming like a fabled hero you hear about a lot, because he went off to just find places, he didn't like save lives or all that kind of thing. It wasn't something that was super recorded for your history, sadly. You're not going to get much from that. Now, when it comes to religion and Mother's Horn, this is stuff that you know, a little bit of information from Amaryllis, a little bit from Leha, a little bit from others. Most of the Minotaur worship a figure they call the Mountain Mother. It has a lot of similarities with a goddess called Gira. So sometimes it is referred to as Gira. Although there's another name that they call it that I need to find. Because I'm just bad at looking through my own notes. Whatever, I don't have it written down. But they worship this basically fertility and nature god. So the Minotaur are very spiritual, but more in the way of worshipping one spirit goddess rather than the many's. When it comes to Shinebank, it's a little bit more interesting. Because Shinebank is a city of Minotaurs, yes. But they don't worship the same religion largely. The people of Shinebank are city Minotaurs. They have no reason to follow a church of nature. While there'll be many people who do, there is a actual goddess of trade called Laranway that they follow. And there's also just, and that's a goddess of trade and money and gold. You also hear rumors of people who just straight up worship money, like wealth. Just the idea of growing your wealth. It's almost like a cult of personality. There's also some believers of elven gods, because Shinebank is very built in the emulation of elves. So those would be the gods you'd be most likely to encounter. Like I said, there's a name for what the Minotaur call Gira, but the Mountain Mother will do for now. Because I can't remember.
Worship me.
Well, I guess I have to.
How many sessions does it take, or like weeks or whatever does it take to learn a language?
It is 10 minus your intelligence.
8 for me.
So 8 weeks. So that's the next 2 months, which would be the rest of winter. If you hunker down during winter, gonna teach her a language. And hunkering down during winter is a grand option. You can also take the boat down during winter. Go to Shinebank.
I'm a little bit worried for us to leave the village during winter.
But the flip side is we're losing 2 months if we.
Well, it's more like 3, because you're in the first month of winter. You're in the silver month, you have the ivory month, and then next year you have Feldspar, which is also fully winter. And then it starts to relax. Yeah.
That's a long time not to be doing anything, as it were.
It is, and also, quite importantly, it's probably reasonably unlikely that the village would be attacked during that time.
Yes, this weather is its own defense in a way.
Mm-hmm. We're much more likely, say it gets to spring, to be attacked by the Minotaur.
Mm.
All right. Well, I would, if the crew had whisperings of leaving for Shinebank, I would go around to villagers and collect anything that they would like to chip in to trade for goods for the town, and collect a list of things that we might want to grab while we're out.
Rag and bone, man. Does
What?
no one know what that is?
Mm-mm.
There are people, at least in the north, who come around at like 6 a.m. on a horse or a donkey or something, and they go rag and bone, and they like take all your like shit you don't want, and they just like keep it in their like little. They're like what do you call them? Romanian gypsies and stuff like that. Rag and bone men.
Yeah.
That's neat. But I would be like, hey, what do you have to contribute? Hey, is there anything that I should look out for that your family in particular needs? And
you wouldn't
just like
get
kind
much,
of get a list and
but
stuff.
you would get a small. There's not much that your community wants from a city. You know, the advantage of being such a small and primitive community is that you don't want for the glassware and whatnot of a big city. Weapons, like steel weapons, would be the main thing. If you could maybe trade for like a cache of weapons, but that might be expensive and hard to travel back. But your boat's really quite sturdy for this kind of thing, really. Although for trade materials you get to offer, because we have to hold on to so much stuff for the hard winter and you haven't got a surplus of civilians working on trade goods, is minimal. You do get some stuff, crafts and things like that, but it's not going to be much.
I would secure them to the boat.
Right now, where are we? Can you possibly ping
that will not help you in any way. The actual like layout of Mother's Horn is very different than it is on that map now. That it's been
Okay, right, but it's probably not so different in that all this time I'm labouring under the misapprehension that we're over here.
No, you are on this side. Has always been.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Shinebank is a stone's throw from a very strong giant away from Balcutter. Balcutter is near Shinebank. If you go to Balcutter and then sail around the coast or walk, there are roads.
I've never even been to Shinebank, though.
No, it's far away, but it's achievable. You can get there and then come back in winter, if winter doesn't fuck you up too much. If you sail the whole way, that might have its own advantages. Walking away will have its own advantages as well. There's advantage and disadvantage to both ways, both things.
We would need a horse and cart if we were gonna walk, is the only issue.
You don't have so much to trade that it wouldn't be able to be like shoved in one of your backpacks. But if you wanted to bring stuff back, you would need a cart, which you don't have.
The only problem would be typically you try not to sail during winter because the sea is worse.
Yeah, it fucking sucks.
I mean,
summer and winter in Jarviskjir, you don't want to sail, although less so in Mother's Horn is you have to worry about summer, but winter.
There might be, there might even be ice along the edge of the sea. We don't know because it's quite.
When you went to Balcutter in autumn, there were large chunks of ice surrounding the village,
which would then force us to head further away from the coast, which then means you're more.
You have a strong, small boat, which has its own advantages sailing through ice in its own way. You might be able to kind of like push your ways through and use some magic and stuff like that. It is an option. It's a genuine option.
And it's not like we're taking the ocean, Neil. We're taking a river.
Then
we have to go along the coast.
The river ends at Balcutter. Balcutter is the coast. You would then be sailing through the Elven Sea, as they call it.
I think that we should sail the river and walk the coast.
Yeah, we could do that, actually.
Your boat is too big to take with you? I mean, you could. It would slow you down.
But we could just moor it at Balcutter, right?
Yeah.
I could bury it again. We could pay somebody to look after it.
You could also feasibly adjust the boat so it could be used kind of like a palanquin, like two people carrying it for supplies. That wouldn't slow you down that much.
Doxy saying that just made me realise Indira's ship is still at a dock.
It's free real estate.
Gil's got a big old debt. Sorry.
There's like a proper pure look of disgust in Doxy's face right now.
Float that ship.
I don't disagree that walking post Balcut is probably a good idea.
Mm.
On the other hand,
You also may be able
Torrent-
to get a ship to Shinebank if you shenaniganize it and pay and work, you know?
Yeah, that'd be the one thing that sort of.
That's a whole other process. You know, that's a whole other thing. But it's an option. You know, a lot of people do that. The gnomes do that. The gnomes who go down the river.
Torrent would say the only other thing is, well, there's two things. One, Leha mentioned to him that getting the quailing on side is not only possible, but a good idea. They will be less uppity because it's winter. They won't have young to protect, that sort of thing. Two, if we head down the river to Balcutta, we're heading exactly the way we went before, where a dragon landed on the river. Which I'm not saying that will happen again, but the Minotaur legitimately will know that us traveling down that river is a distinct possibility.
Yeah. There is also, I mean, there's in terms of, if like Leha suggesting that we get all the tribes of the valley together. The other thing is that in addition to the Grayling, there's also the Aarakocra, the Philonia. I think they'd probably be in the opposite direction to Shinebank, would they?
Yeah, the Aarakocra are at the furthest west the valley goes. They are at the tip of the valley, if you were to imagine it as such, where there's a waterfall and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, just
the exact opposite direction upriver.
Yeah, I know we've been discussing going to Shinebank. Just throwing that out there as well.
No.
This is a good chance to look over all your options. You have that. So just to DM it, your options are stay in Cornucopia. You would have, and you don't have to stay the whole time. But winter could be a great time to work on multiple projects and also defend it from any kind of bad stuff that happens. And also maybe explore the ruins down below. You could start getting together the tribes of the valley. That would probably also end up including Balcutta in the end anyway.
But we spoke to the Minotaur there, who was quite.
But you would want to
keen on a revolution.
Yeah.
If you were bringing up, if you were planning your Avengers initiative, you'll want to double check. But that, in theory, won't take that long. In theory. But of course, you know the gnomes have shit going on. And one option is, instead of taking the river, is actually taking the mountains to Shinebank. You're not going to do that, but that's always an option as well. You could walk the whole time. You could go over the mountains, avoid the Minotaur that are nasty.
We must take the pass of Cadrus.
Am I right in suggesting that Amaryllis would at least have a reasonable idea of where to head and pass?
Oh, yeah. I would say that you could lead them over mountain towards Shinebank. And then there's going down river and either walking or sailing to Shinebank. Both very good options. Those are the options you got so far. Of course, you can feel free to bring other stuff up. There's other stuff that you could do in the village. There's other stuff that you could do whence, you know? But whatever you decide to do, aside from staying in the village and trying to get together the other villagers, the other tribes, going to Shinebank is a commitment.
Yeah.
You can get back easily, but it's going to take time. You can get there easily, it's going to take time. Like, it's very sensible to allot a month of travel.
Yep. My feeling on this one is that we should go to Shinebank first, find a way to purify the river, which instantly gets the quailing on side. From there, I'd forgotten about the Aarakocra, to be honest.
Yeah, well, I've just got the...
You don't encounter them very often.
Yeah, I've just got the notes from when I rolled like a 25 on a history check.
just to remind you of the tribes of the valley, if this is something you'd want to do. There's the Aarakocra, the gnomes, the Minotaur, and you do know there's some of those Minotaur like you in the Lion Bulls. Then there's Malcutter, and there's the Gwaelings that you know of. I mean, who knows? There could be more spirits you could commune by interacting with more of the spirit gods.
Keep in mind, though, the Gwaelings hate us.
Gwaelings hate everyone.
Like Ollie.
But yes.
Yeah. Like, you specifically told me that stuff that I knew just for being Explori Bellara was that, in particular, the Gwaelings hate us.
Yeah, they are aggressive. Like I described earlier, the only time you've ever seen them is them scaring you out of their land, which is the river, as far as they're concerned. Pretty much everywhere upriver of where you live, up until the mountain, the waterfall. They're very aggressive. They don't actively like attack your village or anything, but they will defend their village with all their Ewok strength.
Oh, there you was.
I mean, honestly, like, I think there's clearly advantages to any of these options. As Ian, I'd think that Shinebank is probably what we want to do next. I think Amaryllis might prefer just investigating the ruins because she's Amaryllis, but
the ruins is such a unimportant thing right now.
Yes, true. It's just Amaryllis is Amaryllis.
I know, yeah. That's why you're like, I understand. This is not real.
Should we put it to a vote then? 0 Doxy.
I stand my ground. We should sail down the river. We can stop and talk to people as need be. It probably would be wise to visit the Minotaur. And then either hide the boat or pay somebody to look after it and walk the rest of the way to Shinebank. We can also hit people on the way back.
In.
Definitely Shinebank. I think just for the sake of variety and interest, I think I'd rather go overland, but I wouldn't mind going water.
Dean.
I think I agree with Doxy. I'm happy to do that.
I think I agree
It's
with
so good imagining
I
that
agree with Ian.
Doxy like with a knife behind you. I think I agree with Doxy.
That's funny.
I think I agree. Shinebank's the best plan. Tarum is nervous about going via the waterway.
Hear me out. This is how we decide. Dean roll a d20, Neil roll a d20, we go with whoever rolls higher. Since we're tied.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. I was going to suggest
flip a coin.
You gremlins!
1d20. Let's flip a coin.
You gotta line it up, yeah.
Well, that's...
Okay,
What?
overland it is, I guess.
Over hill, under hill, wobbling
No, best
free.
of 3, let's go.
Yeah, but check out this Mr. Bump cup that I got from McDonald's.
That is
No
really
one-
cute.
That cup is
McDonald's!
tiny.
McDonald's. Happy
How do you
Meal.
drink from that?
We don't. We just put like bobbles and stuff in it for Hannah.
Yeah, I was gonna say like the imagine trying to make a seal around that with your lips like you're like everywhere.
I should try it.
Please do it on camera.
He did actually. You're like actually,
No, as in with
with
hot liquid.
hot liquid.
Scalding.
Yeah, it's gotta be. Oakley Dokley. So,
I
I
wonder
suppose...
if... Sorry. I wonder if it might be wise to see if we could all use the lumber mill to make a cart with Griff.
That would be within the realm of possibility. It would be time, which I know you don't really mind spending.
Make card.
But you're going over
You know what I like?
and that's the end of that. The
Where did that even come from?
I'll wait for. I know where. I'll wait for you to stop having giggles. Okay, are you gonna behave, class? The downside of a cart means you can't go over mountain. You have to
That's
go
my
down
one worry.
valley and then up. Because from what you hear, Bell and Amaryllis, once you'd get down valley, you can pretty much travel down coast, and there's straight up roads. Like, it's not going to necessarily not be dangerous, but that's not going to be a trouble. But actually getting down the valley might be dangerous due to the corruption and the anti-human minotaurs. If you don't have a cart and you just take stuff, you know, and like you bring like a big backpack that you can put some trade stuff in, then you can go over mountain, which Amaryllis has a route for.
So hear me out on this one.
I just want to really quick finish my point for a cart. If anything happens to any of us, if one of us gets injured, we're gonna want a cart. And also, we can move quicker because we can take turns sleeping and pulling.
I mean, you're talking about pulling like 3 people on a cart through deep snow?
No, 2 people pulling, 2 people riding.
We've not got horses.
Yeah, I seem to remember that.
Yeah, there's no
without
horses. You would be
is
pulling
actually
it by
slower.
yourself. Yeah. Yeah, and a cart with a horse.
No,
is
we
not
don't
faster, but
even
that's
have
not the
oxen,
problem.
unfortunately. Otherwise,
Yeah, when you're talking about a cart, it would be being pulled by the other 2 who are not.
be like
resting.
a hand cart, a little.
Plus, one of us is a tree.
That's not a problem.
Very heavy.
My
Shenanigans.
hear me out. Not even memeing. What if I agree with Doxy that having some storage would be great? What if we got a storage animal like a boar?
Second ball.
But like,
Actually,
but
having like a muskox or something that you tamed and strapped that would be a really useful thing right now. That would mean you could do either route without any penalty.
yeah, if we could attempt to go and find an animal that isn't corrupted, if we find one of the right size, we can have a cart and it will pull a cart.
See, the thing is, we would only have to pull a cart until the first city where we could buy a horse.
Yeah, there's.
But
I mean,
do we have the gold for a horse?
yeah, how much
A
money?
horse
do
in
we
D&D is 50 gold. I have
Nope,
over 100
they are
gold.
more than that. Especially in a place where there's nowhere to raise horses. Horses by standard are 75.
How much gold do you have there, Docs?
Over 100.
Oh, a draft horse is 50. You wouldn't want a riding horse.
Okay, so we probably could do that then.
You could probably even get a couple of ponies. Well, I don't think we should. I think 1 horse would be better. But, like, we would never let the horse pull all of us.
Can't we just tie like sacks to like 28 squirrels and just have them on one leash?
Having a cart that isn't necessary, because having a horse or one animal pulling a cart and you kind of scrap the idea of sleeping on it would be fine. That wouldn't wear out an animal because a regular cart is not that much trouble. And Griff can make a cart in a week with your help. Maybe faster with your help, maybe slower, depending on what you roll.
Is it going to be quicker to go over the mountains? This is the other thing than going through the valley and along the roads. Just out of curiosity at this point.
Mayhaps. If the weather
Probably,
is kind,
Yeah,
it'll be
I'm just
easier. And if
one-
there's no particular dangers, the thing that you would know, Amaryllis, when it comes to wildlife on the mountains, most stuff is hibernating. Some of the worst stuff is just starting to wake up.
And real hungry.
So you might be fine, you might not be. It's up in the air, but that's also going to be the case almost anywhere. But you know, mountains have a particular breed of nasty.
I was going to say, like, in terms of finding a beastie to tame, we could find a big old rugged mountain goat type thing. And if we wanted to head that direction.
Also, a sleigh might be smarter than a cart now that I think about it.
Quite possibly, yeah.
Sled would take longer to make, but only like a couple of days. That would take 10 days. But it is a good idea, because it's always going to be some snow when you're needing it.
Well, first things first, we need to go and see whether we can find ourselves a wild animal of appropriate size.
That's a good idea to start trying to do that first.
Because that will affect what size of cart, sled, etc. we make, right?
Yeah.
I would be helping Griff.
Oh, you're not
Make
going to help
the
Amaryllis
sleigh.
look for a sensible animal.
Oh no. I thought I was following a muskox's trail. It's actually a muskrat. Amaryllis
musk boar.
facepalm. A musk boar.
The rats.
So if I'm going off looking for a beastie, Elder Awakening means I'm permanently under the effect of speak of animals, so I can communicate with them no problem.
Exactly. That's why I was saying that this isn't going to be an issue. You just need to find an animal that you can communicate with and convince
Yeah.
to accept free food in return for pulling something
Yeah.
for the rest of its life in comfort.
Yeah, I know it isn't exactly what animal friendship does, but at least to get it on our side initially.
Yeah,
and
the first step is finding an appropriate
something.
animal.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
You're about 1.5 steps too far forward.
I'm
We
just
might
laying all
want
my
more
cards
than
on the
one
table.
so that we can sleep in the sleigh or cart then, if it's going to be that easy.
Well, we need to see what we can find. That is the thing.
That's
I'm just
always pushing further as well. You know?
I'm just laying all my cards on the table first. But so is this a?
Tamus. Midori just said, "Jack, gonna tame us some Minotaur."
Is this a survival check?
It's an
or
animal handling roll.
Animal handling, and of course, I got rid of my animal handling proficiency last week. Of course, I did.
I mean, Ian, you skill monkey.
Am I being aided by anyone in this case, or is this a straight roll? Fair enough.
I'm not trained in it, so I cannot help
Also,
you.
mildly fading out the idea of just giving you an advantage because someone says, "I will assist," because that's been lame for like 2 years.
Reasonable. I completely understand that.
Sometimes it makes sense, but yeah. 60 is good. Man, animals. They're wild. They come in so many shapes and sizes.
I love that look. I just like.
You go looking into the forest, and this is one of the things you do with a couple of days. This isn't you going off once, Amaryllis. This is you going a few times and going a bit further than the forest, knowing that it's relatively safe and just traveling far, listening and looking for something appropriate. Eventually, you find in an area where there's on some of the hillsides, there's just slaty rock that can fall and tumble, and you don't walk on those because it's very loud and not good for hunting and very dangerous. At the bottom, you hear a whining sound, and you follow it to a large winter wolf. Not as in the D&D monster, a winter wolf, but as in a large monster, a larger than average wolf.
In winter.
In winter. That has kind of been trapped by the stone fall. They're kind of brown and mottled grey. They look like they're actually rather old for a wolf. There's no pack with them. Maybe they were left behind. And you can slowly, free it from its injuries. And make sure it's okay. Little features it has is that one of its paws, its like front paw, is white, and the rest of it is this kind of almost orangey color with like little specks of gray where where like a dog starts to show their age. Yeah, you end up kind of befriending this big wolf who would not only be strong enough to pull a cart but also would be able to defend themselves to a degree. They're not in there. They're on the edge of their prime as a good dog. But being able to just bite and defend and be a wolf and be scary is going to be super valuable.
That's another companion for the pet game on Monday.
Well, it needs a name first.
So, like, up to Torrin and Richter for the sake of scaling it in my head, where would it reach?
Ooh, it would probably be comfortably up to your hips.
Ooh. I like that.
He's a big boy.
Big old wolfy boy.
He's one of those things where it's not a dire wolf, but maybe his pack mingled with dire wolves. You know, sometimes you just get big wolves in Jarviskjir. Also, sometimes you get small wolves.
I feel like dire wolves would be bigger than Bell.
Dire wolves are not only big, they are
smart.
They're smart. But they're also monstrous. They have these ridges of bone coming out of their flesh and stuff. He's noticeably not a dire wolf.
Yeah,
they're Klingons.
They're no longer a regular beast. They're like a monstrosity or something. I think.
I don't know if they actually count as a monstrosity, but in Jarviskjir they're very much a different thing.
Fair enough.
Whatever creates.
Unfortunately,
I don't know what makes a man go dire, but.
Unfortunately, I don't think Amaryllis is the type to name the wolf, but if anyone else wants to...
Amaryllis comes back when you're working on making this... and you decided on a sled? It's kind of up to you, Belle.
Fucking boys? You guys are good with the sled? I feel like it'd be smarter than wheels in the slush, right?
It'll be faster in the snow.
I think because it's dead of winter, it's going to be snow everywhere.
It's going to be snow everywhere. You won't be able to use it so much in the spring and summer, but don't worry about that.
By then we can make a cart.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that would be weakening it to do so, but yes. But you could also just save it for next winter.
I think we go sleigh.
You're starting to make the sled, and Amaryllis comes back with this good boy.
This big old wolf.
This big ginger wolf.
He's ginger. Oh.
His colors remind me of the berries in Saffron. Perhaps we call him Saffron.
It's a good name.
Also a source of warmth in the winter, no?
Is it male?
Flexing knowledge all over us. It's a boy wolf.
Bullet boy.
Names have power, but that one does not.
The wolf, it's also called important that this wolf is not acting like a dog. It's standing there quite stoically beside Amaryllis, but it's not even sitting or anything like that. It's standing, and it just kind of does a long blink. You don't know if it understands, but it's kind of just looking at the people and sniffing the smells.
Amaryllis, ask him what he likes.
I was actually about to say, Amaryllis would ask him if he has a name or something. No
name.
No name.
It would specifically say, "I have not been named."
He says he has not yet been granted a name.
Then ask him what he likes better between Saffron and Boy, I suppose.
Maybe we should wait for his name to reveal itself, rather than forcing it upon himself as if we're superior creatures.
Yeah, yes. For the sake of clarity, I wasn't proposing we actually call it Boy. I will just refer to it as Boy.
Kind of like your relationship with your dad, then.
Well, yes, actually.
Well, good. Turns like, Ain't no work.
Oh. Oh.
No fish, just ink.
How dare you?
That was tip-top.
Why don't we...
Let's just keep going. If everyone else is okay too.
Yeah, okay, another hour. Cool.
Well, I don't want to speak for everybody. If anyone
That
wants
was
to
my thought process of like this would be a good place to stop the session today. But
I only need a break, but I'm good to keep going.
yeah,
for
we
another hour.
will take a break. Let's take a break and we'll come back and we'll have ourselves a little bit of a travel. Shall we?
Let's find some form of giant king that I can club to death.
You've had enough of that.
Let's
Mr.
find a small army that we can kill to bring weapons back to our village.
Ooh, the answer might surprise you.
Hello, we're an army of peacekeepers.